Welcome to Maddie's World. Enter the world of networking, technology and gaming.
Okay guys, now we're gonna talk about elastic block storage, which is one of the essential thing you should be deeply knowing in the AWS, right? So elastic block storage means the block storage which we can use flexibility as per your requirements, right? So you have the multiple kinds of volume available here, right? So if we talk about them, we have a general purpose, which is called the general purpose SSD. We have provisioned IOPS SSD. We have cold SC1. We have throughput optimized hard disk, and we have a magnetic standard hard disk, right? We have a multiple, you can say, elastic volume storage available here that we can use according to our requirement, right? Remember, every time each and everything falls on the requirements, right? What is your requirement, and choose that according to your requirements, right? So never blindly start using any of the disk here. So the first, guys, we are going to talk about the general purpose SSD. So what is this general purpose SSD, right? Let's say you can use it for your boot volume for your operating system, right? But if your application has a high throughput, right, and it doesn't, you don't want any, you can say, latency, right, in read write in your hard disk, so you should avoid using this. But it gives you the minimal performance, not the burst performance, but it will give you the kind of the, you can say, it will make a balance of performance as well as your cost, right? So that's what, how you can choose the SSD. So you can use it for your OS installation, putting your you can say boot and some other things where you are not bothered about the high input output performances. It can be maximum of 1 GB, maximum you can take 16384 GB, right? So if you see here input output, right, so input output per second means how faster it is reading and writing from the disk. And input output per second, basically depends on, tells the speed of your hard drive, right? If you see here baseline of 3 input output per GB, that means 3 input output per GB per second with a maximum of 100 IOPS burstable to 3000 IOPS. So it can max burst to the 3000 IOPS, right? But basically it gives you the 3 IOPS per GB with a minimum of 100 IOPS. So you have bit less read and write performance than the other one we will talk about, right? So again I will repeat, if you are not bothered about high latency application, then you can go ahead with this makes best balance between your performance as well as, you can say, cost, right? Again you have to define it, in which availability zone you are going to create it, right? So make sure whatever the availability zone you are creating, you have your instance available on that zone where you are going to apply it. Let's say I have created it in US East 1A, right? And here I'm not creating it from any snapshot. If you want to create it from any snapshot, you can do it, right? But I'm not doing it. So next, if you want to add some tag here, always give capital N with the name and the disk name here, what value you are going to give it. Let's say I'm going to call it web disk, anything. We'll go ahead and create it. So now you can see your disk has been created here. But now the problem is, if you see, my instance is in 1B. Oh, again a problem for me. I will not be able to attach this to this instance. So let's see if we can do that. So the disk is available for me now, right? Web disk is available. I have created it of 100 GB, and you can see the input output per second is 300 with the 100 GB, right? And if I want to allocate it attach volume, I will not be able to get any instances because that's wrong. I have created it in the different region. That's what I was trying to tell you, the availability zone here, right? So now the option for me, am I able to modify this image volume? I can change the size of this, right? I can change it from SS general purpose to IOPS, but I cannot modify the region here. So that's a problem for me, right? So I'll go ahead and delete this one, and we'll create in US East 1B. So I'll not create a big disk here, only 10 GB. US East 1B, where my instance lies, and let's give it a name here, app 1. Go ahead and create it. So now you can see we are in the same availability zone now, right? And my disk is available now. We'll go ahead and attach volume to that. So select your instance here, right? Here by default it will take /dev sdf name, naming convention. So if you want to give any other name, then you can give it this to this here, right? So totally up to you. So I will go with the default one, will attach it. So now you can see that my volume is in use now, right? So let's go ahead and get the IP of my instance. Let's jump on running instance. So let's take this IP here. So my key is DevOps1. I'm gonna open it. Right now I can do app disk here -L. You will see the disk is available here. You can see by lsblk also, right? It will show you another disk has been added. So that's totally up to you how you want to do that. lsblk will show you there is 2 disk, one disk is xpda and 2 volumes from there, right? We have one xpda and still which is raw disk and not used yet, right? And if you see here in the app disk -L though, we have the same output here. So whatever suits you, you can use that, right? So you can do app disk -L here, right? Now you have two options, right? Either if you have a large disk, you can create partition from that, and you can use the complete disk also. So most of you are a Linux guy, right? So I'm not going to tell you the partition on top of that, right? I'm going to use this disk completely. So I will format this, right? mkfs.ext4 or xfs, whatever you want to use. That's totally up to you as per your requirements, right? So you can give the xfs as well, right here, and you can give here the disk here, right? So you can see your disk has been formatted successfully, and a couple of things has been metadata and everything has been added to it. What is the I size, AJ account, AG size, block size, right, block count, everything has been created here, right? How many inode number would be there, so you can see so many attributes has been created here. That's what we call formatting the disk, right? So once we have done with this, the time, time for us to mount this, so you can do mount, right, give the name here for a temporary mounting. So I am going to mount it with the MNT, and if you do here fdskyfnl, you can see we have done this with the temporary mounting, right? And I'll quickly unmount it, umount slash MNT, right? If you want to do the permanent mounting, I think you should already know this, right? You have to create one folder here. Let's say I will call it app, right? And let's go to etc fs tab, right, zipg, give here your device ID or the device name you have, slash app, what is your file system type is XFS. So are you going to like put any ACLs here? I'm not going to put any ACL, so I'll go with the defaults. If you want to put some ACL, some restriction to it, you can put with here up to default and your ACLs. And if you want to enable, right, you can say FSCK and something, you can put it here. So by default I will disable everything, so we'll go ahead and save it, right, and do mount -a, which will reload the partition table for me, right? And if you do fdisk-l h, you will be able to see your partition has been successfully mounted here, right? So now you are good to like do touch here and A, right? So anyway, now you are able to write your data on this, right? So anyway, if you want to migrate it, if you do not want this, you can unmount this file system. If you want to remove that partition from here, I don't need it, so that's what I will remove it, right? So you can do vi/etc fs tab, go at the end, delete this, right, and just reload the mount, you can say partition table, mount -a, right? So if you do df-h, your partition should gone now, still not gone, so you can unmount it. So we do not have file system now, right? So what I can do is I can go ahead and detach it from this detach this volume from that instance, right? And I can directly attach to this volume to some of the instance and can use this data as it is, right? So if you want the same volume and data in the system, go ahead and attach it to that machine and you are all good.